This is the archive of unsolved disappearances. Case number 729, The Door in the Woods. Of all the strange cases locked in these files, few have left such a lingering chill as this one. A story that makes even the most rational investigator doubt the limits of explanation. I first read the report on a quiet evening, the rain tapping on my office window, as I leafed through another batch of police logs. It was a standard missing persons update, until I saw the phrase, "Isolated steel door found standing alone in forest, source unknown." That detail alone was enough to catch my eye. But what followed was something altogether different. Michigan's national parks are legendary, dense forests stretching for miles, with rivers winding through thick undergrowth and long-abandoned logging trails. There are stories, always, of things lost in the woods. Old cabins swallowed by time, the ghosts of pioneers, echoes of storms. But nothing in the official records ever mentioned a door. And certainly not a door like this. On May 14, 2013, park rangers Jeff Harlan and Maria Nunez were patrolling a section of forest known for sudden fog banks and faulty radio signals. They'd followed a game trail, looking for signs of trespassing, when they saw it. A slab of cold, brushed steel set vertically in the dirt, about the size of an ordinary door, but without any visible hinges or a frame. It was just there, rising out of the ground, with no sign of construction or disturbance around it. The report from Ranger Nunez described an immediate drop in temperature, the silence of the forest pressing in, even the insects holding back. She wrote that she felt watched, as if the trees themselves were waiting to see what we'd do next. Harlan tried to move the door, but it wouldn't budge. They marked the GPS, took photos, and radioed for instructions, though later, both would swear the radio static was thicker there than anywhere else in the park. That evening, their supervisor, Doug Mills, reviewed the photos and scheduled a return trip. But when the team arrived 2 days later, the weather had changed. An unusual heavy fog had rolled in. The door, which had been tightly shut, now stood slightly ajar, as if inviting someone to see what lay beyond. There were no footprints, no drag marks, nothing to show how it had moved. This was when the real trouble began. Over the next 6 weeks, the search for answers would draw in not just the park rangers, but local police, state officials, and eventually, a small team of outside experts, each hoping for a simple explanation, none of them prepared for what they'd find. What follows isn't a ghost story or campfire legend. Everything in this case comes from official logs, witness interviews, and evidence collected by real people who walked into the woods that spring and found something that changed their lives forever. Some names have been changed for privacy. Some details remain classified. But one truth is clear. After that door opened, nothing in that forest was ever quite the same. If you've ever wondered what secrets a forest can hide, if you've ever felt watched on a lonely trail, this case may give you reason to trust your instincts. Tonight we open the file on Case 729, The Door in the Woods.
The day the door was found slightly open, everything changed. Rangers Jeff Harlan, Maria Nunez, and their supervisor Doug Mills returned to the site early in the morning, fog still tangled in the trees. They brought with them bolt cutters, flashlights, a digital camera, and a sense of uneasy curiosity. The forest felt muffled, even their own footsteps seemed distant. According to the official incident report, Mills approached the door first. He touched the metal. It was freezing cold, colder than the surrounding air. Without a word, he gripped the edge and pulled. The door swung open on silence, unseen hinges, revealing not a room, not a stairway or bunker, but only blackness, a void, darker than shadow, absorbing the flashlight beams. No echo, no movement, no sign of depth. Ranger Nunez wrote later in her field log, "I felt dizzy the moment the door opened. The light wouldn't go in. It just stopped, like it hit a wall of ink. The air around us changed. I could hear my own heart pounding in my ears." Jeff said he smelled ozone. Doug asked if we heard the knocking, but I didn't. I only heard silence. They closed the door and marked the site with surveyor's tape, promising to return with better equipment. That night, all three experienced nightmares. Mills described something trying to crawl out of the dark. Nunez dreamed of wandering endlessly through empty hallways, always hearing someone behind her, but never turning to look. Harlan reported sleep paralysis, seeing the outline of a door at the foot of his bed. Within days, word of the find spread beyond the ranger station. The park's director requested an official survey. Local police were notified for public safety concerns. A geologist was brought in, but found no sign of excavation or natural cave. The ground-penetrating radar returned only static and inexplicable interference. Then, on May 21st, everything escalated. That morning, Jeff Harlan failed to show up for work. Maria Nunez went to his cabin. She found the door unlocked. Jeff sitting at his kitchen table in the same clothes he'd worn in the woods. The kitchen was a mess. Jeff's hands shook as he spoke. "I can still hear it," he whispered. "Every time I close my eyes. It's right there. There's something on the other side." Maria wrote in her log that Jeff had become withdrawn, fearful, prone to staring into space. She convinced him to take medical leave, but by the following day, he was missing. The police report stated, vehicle in driveway, phone, wallet, and boots left behind. No signs of struggle. Last seen by Ranger Nunez, 7:30 a.m. That night, Doug Mills returned to the site alone. He left a voice memo, recovered from his phone. "Standing here now, I feel exposed. The door is still here. Fog's thicker. It's open again, just a crack. Something about this place. You start to feel like you're not alone. There's a ringing in my ears. I think I see movement." The recording ended in static. When a team was finally dispatched, they found Doug's flashlight, his radio, and footprints leading into the woods. But no sign of him. The investigation widened. State police and a private contractor were brought in. Psychologists interviewed Maria Nunez, who by then had started to suffer migraines, insomnia, and a recurring nightmare of the steel door standing at the center of an empty city. Park visitors were kept away from the area under the guise of trail maintenance. Rumors spread quickly among rangers and locals. Old-timers whispered about the echo, a legend of a soundless place in the woods where people vanished without a trace. A week later, search teams discovered Jeff Harlan's footprints. They circled the clearing with the door, over and over, sometimes doubling back, never leaving. In the grass beside the door, they found a crumpled page from his logbook. "Something is behind the door. It wants out. I keep seeing faces in the fog. Sometimes I think I'm dreaming, but the dream won't end." It was around this time that strange events began to ripple beyond the immediate team. Radios malfunctioned within half a mile of the door. Game cameras would show only blank static. Animals avoided the clearing. The undergrowth seemed to wilt, despite daily rain. Some nights, people camping several miles away reported hearing a metallic thud echo through the trees. Always 3 times, then silence. Then, on June 2nd, Maria Nunez disappeared. She was last seen entering the woods at dawn, according to her own log, to take one last look, try to make peace with whatever is out there. Her vehicle was found at the trailhead, keys in the ignition. Search teams scoured the area for a week. All they found was Maria's ranger badge, placed neatly on a stone next to the door. The door itself was found wide open, blackness yawning, as if inviting them inside. After Maria's disappearance, park management sealed off the entire section, citing dangerous terrain. The official story ended there, but in the months and years that followed, the story refused to die. A retired ranger, one who refused to be named, later described his own experience. "The woods out there are different now. It's like the trees are holding their breath. Sometimes, if you walk too close, you hear voices, not loud, just whispers, like someone you knew, calling you back. Occasionally, hikers still stumble across the clearing. The door is sometimes there, sometimes not. Some say it's just a patch of dead grass. Others insist they saw something metal, glinting between the trunks, but every phone and camera fails to capture it." One local blogger described finding the place by accident, writing, "I saw a rectangle, shiny, like a mirror. Just for a second, I blinked, and it was gone. The air felt heavy, my skin prickled. I turned around and walked back the way I came, fast." Over the years, Maria's family and the families of the other missing pressed for further investigation. The Park Service quietly avoided the subject, redirecting inquiries to ongoing maintenance. Unofficially, some believed the door was simply removed and destroyed. But the field logs and strange events never truly stopped. Epilogue. 10 years after the original incident, a new ranger patrolling the northern sector discovered a single, rusted key lying in the dirt at the base of a birch tree. No one could explain its origin. When they checked the site where the door had once stood, all they found was a circle of dead grass and, in the dirt, 3 perfect indentations, as if something heavy had stood there for years. The file for case 729 remains open. In official records, it's marked unresolved, further investigation suspended, but in whispers among those who work the night shifts, the door in the woods is still out there, waiting, and every so often, the fog rolls in, and the trees fall silent, and for a moment, you wonder, what would you do if you found a door that led to nowhere, or somewhere you were never meant to go?